Good morning. Welcome to day 22 of our 31-day journey through the book of Proverbs. Each day we look at one chapter, kind of pick it apart a little bit, apply some of the truths of the Proverbs, of the wisdom book here to our own lives. Today we look at Proverbs 22. Proverbs 22, like a lot of the other chapters, carries kind of contains a number of topics. We see parenting again, we see rich poor, we see conflict, we see stuff about finances, about debt, we see prudence. Just there's a lot in here. But what got my attention, what struck me, what kind of stuck with me was verse 1. And verse 1 says, to choose a good reputation over great riches, being held in high esteem is better than silver or gold. If you read it in other translations, it translates a little bit different. It says, choose a good name over great riches. And being held, in favor is better than silver or gold. These things that we think are valuable, silver and gold, because they do hold value, right, in our economy. But a good name is better than silver or gold. So just thinking about the names that we have, what the name means. And I started down this little rabbit trail on this, and I hope that this makes sense to you and helps you understand this. But first thing about names is that everybody has one, right? We all have names. There's no unnamed people. Even when they find a dead body that's unidentifiable or unidentified, they apply a name to it. We know the name Jane or John Doe. Everybody has a name. Prince, remember the artist, he tried to change his name from Prince to a symbol. And then what happened was everybody just called the symbol the artist formerly known as Prince, which really, to me, just lengthened his name. If he was trying to get rid of it, he made it longer. But we all have names, and names are given, like Prince, and there's a few other people who have changed their names, but we are given a name at birth. Our parents name us when we're born, or our guardians named us. In the Bible, we see names had significance, and God renamed people. We know that Saul became Paul, Abram became Abraham, and God changed people's names because names meant something. And we see that throughout the Bible, that the significance of a name and what it meant to be renamed. But names are given, and names mean something. I just alluded to that in the Bible, that when God renamed somebody, that the name meant something, it had meaning and significance to it. Our names do the same, maybe not with that type of intentionality, but our names mean something. We could mention names, and you will have certain thoughts. If I mention the name Donald Trump, you think something. Da Vinci, Albert Einstein, Jeffrey Dahmer, Adolf Hitler, Shakespeare, Mother Teresa, right? Those names conjure up thoughts in our minds. And because they have some significance, good or bad, they mean something. And names still mean something. So the writer of Proverbs here, King Solomon, is saying to choose a good name because your name means something, right? Your reputation is attached to your name, or your name is attached to your reputation. So choose a good name. Yet we don't choose our own names. Legally we could, I mentioned that, but we don't choose our own names. We're given a name. So what he's saying is that we can choose a good name by choosing to live a righteous life, a good life. If we live a good life, our name will be good. Some of the names I mentioned, right, they've done atrocious, horrific things. Adolf Hitler, Jeffrey Dahmer, right? They're known for the evil that they did, but that's the reputation that gets attached to that name. And anybody else who would have that name, the last name Dahmer, their reputation gets stained by what their cousin, brother, son, whoever did. So we choose our name by choosing the life we live, the reputation that gets attached to it. So our name doesn't change, but the significance of it, what it means, does, and it's attached directly to who we are. So you think about names. I thought, as I continued kind of just down this trail of names, there's really two names that should be known to all of us. And the first one is, do we know who Jesus is, right? Do we know what that name means? If I go to Matthew 16, 13 through 17, Jesus is talking to his disciples, and he says this. He says, when Jesus came to the region of Caesarea Philippi, he asked his disciples, "Who do people say that the Son of Man is?" Right? Who is this person? And well, they replied, some say John the Baptist, some say Elijah, others say Jeremiah or one of the other prophets. Then he asked them, right? First he asked, what do other people say? Or who do other people say that the Son of Man is? But then he asked them, but who do you say I am, right? Who do you say I am? Who am I? What is my name, right? My being, my reputation. Who am I? Simon Peter answered, "You are the Messiah, the Son of the living God." And Jesus replied, "You are blessed, Simon, son of John, because my Father has revealed this to you. You did not learn this from any human being." So when we think of the name Jesus, we hear Jesus. Who is he? It depends on who he is to us. To some people, he was a good man, a philosopher, a good teacher. But for those of us that have put our faith in him, he is our Messiah. He's our Christ, right? He's the one who came to restore us back to God, to die on Calvary's cross in my place and yours. That's who Jesus is. He's our Savior. Jesus used all kinds of different names and analogies for himself when he's, I'm the bread of life, I'm the living water, I'm the good shepherd, to help people understand who he was. So do we know who he is? Do we know who he is correctly? That he is Jesus, the Son of God, the Messiah, the Savior, the one who came to save his people. And then the other question, I guess, would be with names, does Jesus know who you are? Does he know your name? Because in John chapter 10, Jesus is talking about the shepherd and how the sheep know their shepherd by the shepherd's voice. So when sheep would be put into flocks or inside the fences at night, and multiple shepherds would bring their flocks together to keep them safe through the night, how would they separate them? Well, the sheep would go with their shepherd because they would know his voice. But Jesus adds a little bit more to this in verse 3, and he had just said that that Jesus, he said, "I am the good shepherd," capital G, capital S, right? I'm the good shepherd. And he said, he calls his own sheep by name and he leads them out. That the shepherds knew their sheep by name. And that'd be very hard for us to know a shepherd's flock when it's mixed in with other sheep, because they all look the same to us, but not to a shepherd. He would know their sheep very well. They would know their sheep. And he named them. And he would know them by name. So they would come to him as he would start to speak, because they would recognize his voice. He would recognize them and be able to call them out by name. If we know that Jesus is the Savior and we put our faith in him, then he knows our name and we know his voice. So when he speaks, we go to him and we go where he leads. That's what shepherds did. They cared for the flock. Sheep don't survive very long on their own. They need somebody to protect them, provide for them. And when we can come to that place to understand who we are in light of who God is, that we need Jesus to provide and to protect us, and he's leading, and we need to follow. And if we follow Jesus, the Good Shepherd, wherever he leads, then we're choosing a good name for ourselves, because that life will be righteous. That life will be good. And what gets attached to our name will be a good reputation, because we are following the Good Shepherd. So I hope that challenges you today with just the idea of names and how people know us, the reputations that we get. And I hope that when people hear your name or my name, that they think positive things, that we are people who are trying to make an impact in this world, to love and to do good to the people around us, that we exhibit, the fruit of the Spirit, that we are faithful, that we are kind, that we are gentle, and all 9 of them, but that we live out the fruits of the Spirit, and that's how people know us. So I hope this challenges you today. Look forward to seeing you tomorrow for Proverbs 23.